Sergeant Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police with Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog breaking the trail in the relentless pursuit of lawbreakers in the wild days of the Yukon. Back to the days of the gold rush as Sergeant Preston with his wonder dog Yukon King meets the challenge of the Yukon. This is the Yukon, the territory patrolled by Sergeant Preston, where Klondike gold lured men by the thousands from all parts of the world. Skagway, in the southern part of Alaska, the gateway to the Yukon.
Joe says to tell you he'll be out in a minute to get your trunk.
I wanted to ask you who owned the tavern next door.
Jonathan Steele. That's why it's called Steele's Cafe.
Is that his son?
No, that's Tommy Smith. His pa used to work for Steele until he died last spring. Steele lets him have a room off the kitchen. Poor kid's earned his keep a dozen times over.
Still shoveling snow. What have you been doing all this time?
That's Jonathan Steele. I'd better get back to work.
Thank you.
You should have finished this job a half an hour ago. Wasting time playing with that dog.
Oh, no, Mr. Steele. I haven't been playing.
I had to get rid of that worthless mutt.
You can't get rid of Blaze. He's mine. Dad bought him for me. And he's not a worthless
Talk back
mutt.
to me, please.
No, Blaze. Please don't do anything.
You better hold that mutt. If he ever attacks me, I'll kill him. Now finish this job and get to the kitchen. When you get through in the kitchen, get to work on the wood pile.
That boy's always getting under your skin. Why don't you send him away?
I've thought of it. Bart, when dinner's ready, don't forget Studs, Corey, and Moose. Take 2 meals up to their hotel room, same as you did at breakfast time.
I don't see why they can't come in here to eat. It's in San Francisco the law wants, and that's a long way.
They want to stay out of sight. You just see that they're fed as long as they stay in town and keep your mouth shut.
Hey.
Mr. Steele,
Right.
I've something I'd like to discuss with you. Privately.
Step into my office.
Thank you.
Have a chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're new in these parts.
Yes, I am. Permit me to introduce myself.
Herbert Ashley Smythe, Milford, England. Are you related to James Ashley Smythe?
My cousin.
Most folks knew him as Jim Smith. He worked for me as bookkeeper.
I know.
I'm curious to know how you found out your cousin came to Skagway.
Had a deucedly hard job doing it. Took months. I finally traced James to a San Francisco hotel where he and his son were staying after the death of his wife. Chap there told me he'd worked in your Barbary Coast cafe. I went there, beastly place, and found that you'd sold out. Had to bribe the owner before he told me you'd gone to Skagway and taken your bookkeeper and his son and some others with you. So, here I am.
If you're looking for Jim, you've come a long way for nothing. He died of fever last spring.
So I've heard. I'll want a copy of the death certificate to take with me when I return to England. Also, I want an account of the accident that caused the death of James' son, my second cousin, Thomas.
What are you talking about? There's been no accident.
Mr.
Tommy is...
Steele, proof of the boy's death is worth $5,000 to me.
If you mean what I think you do.
You know precisely what I mean. I've learned a lot about you, Mr. Steele. You're not bothered by scruples where there's easy money. One might say a killing to be made.
Why do you want the boy out of the way?
His grandfather left an estate in England. I'll be the heir if Thomas is, removed.
What you're asking for will take some careful planning.
You are capable of it. I think I'll give you 1,000 on account. I'll be waiting to hear from you. I'm staying at the, hotel next door.
over 100 miles north of Skagway, Sergeant Preston traveled the familiar route from Dawson to Whitehorse. It was a long trip, but with Yukon King working in harness, Preston made good time. On the last morning, he traveled the length of Lake LaBarge.
Hello, Inspector.
Good to see you again, Sergeant Preston. And you too, King. Well, you've been losing a little weight. Sergeant Preston must have been working you too hard. Come into my office.
Fine. King, you stay here with the team.
You made good time.
Well, I left Dawson as soon as I received your message, sir. What are your instructions?
I didn't say why I needed you, did I?
Well, no, sir, you didn't.
People by the thousands are entering the territory. I need an experienced man to try to spot the outlaws. So I sent for you.
Well, outlaws and sourdoughs look very much alike. Maybe we can depend on King's natural instinct to help us.
These might also be of help.
Are all of these letters from the San Francisco police?
Yes, the men described in those letters are wanted for major crimes.
Yeah, that's King. I promised him a big meal at the end of the trip.
Well, then, by all means, see that he gets it. I dare say you're as hungry as he is.
Well, it has been a long time since breakfast. You mind if I look over these things after I eat?
Go ahead. We'll talk later.
Fine.
Remember what Dad used to say, Blaze? Chin up. We'll try to stick it out here until I'm older. Then we'll get away from Mr. Steele. You mustn't lose your temper. Don't ever snarl at Mr. Steele again, no matter what he does. You see, he might shoot you. And I don't know what I'd do then.
It's no use arguing, Steele. I'm not handling any more jobs for you.
I've paid twice what I paid you for the accident that killed the San Francisco judge. Oh, it's not as if I want to get rid of someone important where there would be an investigation. I just want an accident to happen to a 12-year-old. You can arrange it. And that cash is yours.
Pick up your money, Steele. I'd like to help you out, but Moose and I are leaving Skagway tonight.
Going to the Yukon?
The Whitehorse. We got big plans. Hey, why don't you join up with us?
The law's not looking for me, Studs. I don't have to leave town.
You go with us for a few weeks and you come back with more gold than you can carry. You know, Bart and the cook can run the cafe while you're gone. Let me show you what we got in mind. Hey, Moose. Moose, come on out here and bring the map.
Well, sleep tight, Blaze. And I'll see you in the morning.
Now, here we are right here at Skagway. And here's the trail north through White Pass, then across the border to the town of Whitehorse. It's 110 miles from Skagway to Whitehorse. Now here, right there, about 4 miles past Whitehorse, is where Gold City is or used to be. The gold ran out and everyone left town.
We'll hide in the old buildings, won't we, Studs?
Yeah. We'll make our headquarters at the dance hall. And the sourdoughs who struck it rich will never get past that ghost town with their gold.
How'll you know who's carrying gold?
Oh, that's very simple. Moose here and I will just take turns on the trail. When a sourdough comes along, one of us will get acquainted.
What happens to him after he's robbed?
Well, he disappears.
I know that country like the palm of my hand. And I guarantee you, no one will find the body.
How did you two get together?
Hotel clerk knew I needed a sledding team, so he sent Moose to see me.
I was broke. Wanted to sell my outfit. Instead, I threw in with Studs.
How about it, Steele?
No, thanks, Studs. With me, there would be 3 men cutting up the take. No matter how much I got, I wouldn't be content with my share.
Well, it's too bad. We'd be glad to have you.
Studs. Ask him about the dog.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we noticed the dog around your place. Does it work in harness?
Good dog, mighty strong.
We could use another dog. You care to sell him?
Nah. Make an offer.
Mr. Steele?
Where have you been? The cook's been waiting 2 hours for you to start your chores.
I've been looking all over town for my dog Blaze. Mr. Steele, he's gone.
Of course he's gone. I sold him. Studs Corey came by during the night and picked him up.
But he's my dog.
Not anymore. I sold him to pay for all the food he's eaten.
But I work for his food.
Why, you impudent little...
You had no right to sell him.
I'll teach you to guard your tongue. That worthless mutt has been taken to Whitehorse, so you may as well forget it. Now get to work.
After a day of smoldering resentment, Tommy had slipped out of the cafe during the night and left Skagway nearly 24 hours later than the Corey gang. Determined to find his dog, he traveled all night on the trail toward the Yukon, stopping at daybreak for a skimpy meal and a short rest.
When he heard the dog was gone, Tommy was quiet and thoughtful. Now, of course, I realize he was planning to run away.
Do you know when he left here?
No, but it must have been early last night. His bed hasn't been slept in.
I say, that's frightfully bad luck.
I'd say it was good. He played right into our hands.
I don't understand. How can you possibly arrange the accident if he's not here?
That's where you're wrong, Smythe. I was stumped trying to figure out something to happen to Tommy here in Skagway. There's something that wouldn't look suspicious, especially with that dog always guarding him.
But if he's not here and you don't know where he went...
I can guess where he went. He wanted to find Blaze, and he knew the dog had been taken to Whitehorse. Now, where do you think he'd go?
I get it. Whitehorse.
Yes, and it'll be a miracle if he can reach there. We're likely to find him starved or frozen to death on the trail. But if someone helps him get to Whitehorse, well, in that country, accidents happen easy. Now, if we work fast, we can get what we need and leave this afternoon.
Hello, Amos.
Hi, Sergeant Preston.
How's the trail from Skagway?
She's in fine shape.
Hey, what have we got here? An assistant mailman?
No, not exactly. His name's Tommy Smith. Tommy meets Sergeant Preston.
Glad to know you, Tommy.
How'd you do, sir?
I found this little critter out on the trail between Skagway and the border. Tried to walk all the way over here, but didn't quite make it.
What did you want to come here for, Tommy?
My dog was brought here. I want to be with him.
Tell you about it later.
Well, you've had a long trip, son. You must be cold and hungry. How would you like a nice hot cup of chocolate and a good warm meal, huh?
I'd like it fine, sir.
You'd like that. Amos, I'll see you in the office. I want to take Tommy over to the mess hall.
Right.
Come on, Tommy. Come on, King.
Now, according to Tommy, this man bought his dog from Steele, and then he came here to Whitehorse.
When?
Well, Tommy said it was a few days ago. The man's name is Corey, Studs Corey.
Studs Corey. I don't believe I know him.
No, I never heard of him either. As far as I know, maybe he didn't even leave Skagway. But Tommy thinks he did. And that boy started walking over here with hardly any food or anything else.
Does he have a family or relatives?
Well, claims he hasn't.
Yeah, we'll have to check into it. We may have to send him back. Meanwhile, we must find a place for Tommy to stay.
Well, I'd be glad to have him stay with me in my cabin. I'll be around here nearly a week before starting my run to Skagway. Otherwise, you know, we might find a home for him right here in Whitehorse.
Wait a minute. What did you say that fellow's name was that had Tommy's dog?
Studs Corey. Why'd you ask?
Because here's a bulletin from the San Francisco police that names and describes Corey. Says he's on the way to the Yukon. And he's wanted for armed robbery and murder.
Breakfast the next morning was the most enjoyable meal the boy had known since the death of his father.
Getting up to eat, Tommy?
Oh, yes, sir. I don't know how to repay you for all you've ever done.
Oh, forget about it, son. I'm glad to have you come. Now, look, I gotta go over east here to a settlement and pick up some mail. But I'll be back early this afternoon. And then we're gonna go see Sergeant Preston. We might find that critter that's got your dog.
Oh, golly. I hope so.
Oh, I hope so, too, son. Say, I wonder what that weather's doing. Them poor critters. Tommy, I've seen so many beaten and broken men come back from the Klondike that I'm always sorry for those that's going there.
In this case, the mail carrier's sympathy was misplaced. Jonathan Steele and Herbert Ashley Smythe were not in search of Klondike gold, but on a murder mission with Tommy, the intended victim. Their purpose was to find him, dead or alive, or to reach the ghost town of Gold City where Studs Corey and his gang had gone.
Whoa!
Hello, Steele.
Hello, Studs. This is Mr. Smythe.
How do you do?
How are you? Have you decided to join up with us?
Well, maybe for a little while. We have a deal to discuss.
We've been fixing up our living quarters. In a couple of days, we'll be able to watch the trail for sourdoughs who struck it rich.
Your pal in there?
Well, Moose went to Whitehorse for supplies. No one questions him. He's been hunting and trapping for years around here. Now, you run your sled behind the building. I'll meet you and Smite at the back door.
Right, Al.
All right?
It was noon when Moose finished buying supplies and started the return trip to the gang's hideout.
Blaze! Blaze! Wait, Blaze! Blaze, wait! Wait, Blaze!
Tommy ran only a short distance, then had to stop and catch his breath. The sled he pursued was already out of sight, but he was determined to keep going until he could rejoin his dog.
I couldn't tell which way Tommy went on the trail, so I waited until after dark. Then I thought it'd be a good idea to come over and see you. I thought he maybe come over here.
I'm sure, Amos, he hasn't been in town.
Oh, I wonder where that boy went to. I'm worried about him, Sergeant Preston. It's so easy to get lost in this country.
Well, we better not waste any time. Come on, we'll start at your cabin. Let's go, King.
This is Tommy's quilt.
Good. I should give King the scent. Here, boy.
But, gentlemen, it seems to me that as we are obviously not abiding by our contract, I really don't have any
Dogs
choice
have had
in the
their
matter.
grub and should be asleep. I'm going out back and see why they're barking.
Now, what were you about to say, Smite?
I said that I could afford to pay a little more.
A lot more. Being as we didn't find the boy dead on the trail, we must assume that he reached the Yukon. That means a lot of ground to cover in searching for him. We'll need the help of these friends of mine, so it'll cost a lot of money.
But I don't have that sort
You
of...
said Tommy is heir to his grandpa's estate, and you're next in line for it. You can afford to pay plenty for a proof of a fatal accident.
Hey, look who I found.
Mr. Steele?
Well, young man, you saved us the trouble of looking for you.
He was out back with that dog you sold us.
Come here, Tommy. You gave me a bad time by running away.
I wanted to find Blaze.
I know. How did you get here?
The mailman picked me up and brought me to Whitehorse on his sled. I saw Blaze go past the cabin, so I followed him here.
I didn't realize how much Blaze meant to you until after you had gone. I figured you'd go to Whitehorse to look for the dog. So I set out to find you. These friends of mine were going to help me. Tell you what, Tommy. Sit there and eat with us. Then get Blaze and take him into the front room, and I'll see what I can do about buying back your dog.
I say, Steele, you and Corey drive a hard bargain.
Well, if you don't like that agreement, just say so and let the estate go to Tommy. Maybe it'll be better for me if I'm appointed as legal guardian.
But what if this should fall into the hands of the police? Be frightfully dangerous.
It won't be if you don't try to hold out on this after you get the inheritance.
Wait here. Let's see what King's interest is in this old dance hall.
Now we'll decide what kind of an accident to plan.
The dogs behind the building reacted to the nearness of King, who was a stranger. But King ignored the whines and whimpers. He knew he was close to the boy he sought.
What is it, Blaze? Come on, we'll find out.
Tommy, what are you doing here?
Oh, Mr. Steele and Mr. Smythe are in the back with some other gentlemen.
Thought I heard voices in front.
Just the kid talking to the dog. He does it all the time.
It's hard to tell with all that noise in back. Moose, what ails those mutts of yours?
Nervous, I guess. Likely they sense that murder talk's going on.
Now, I was about to say, Moose knows where there's a deep ravine near here. And my idea is this.
Tommy, at least one of the four men that you told me about is wanted by the law.
Oh, golly, Sergeant Preston. What are you going to do now?
Well, from what you told me, I'll have to lure them out one at a time. I need my rope. Amos, you stay here and keep Tommy out of danger, will you?
And it'll look like the boy got lost and fell into a ravine.
It's a good plan, Studs. Let's get to it right away. Moose, hitch up your team. You better get Blaze out of the front room. Tell Tommy we're taking him and the dog back to Skagway. We'll keep the boy quiet till we get to the ravine.
Moose! Wonder what's keeping him.
You better go take a look, Corey.
Yeah, may have gone out the front door. I don't know why. Moose!
Corey, where is he? Here!
No, Steele!
Sergeant, the man in the back room.
Stay where you are, Steele.
Hold it.
Get your hands up. Get out that door.
We've accomplished a lot since you were in Dawson, Sergeant. We buried Corey. Steele and Moose and Smythe are in jail. This agreement, together with Smythe's confession, will jail them for a long time.
You mean Smythe confessed?
As soon as he saw we had this agreement, he told us everything. Tommy is the heir to his grandfather's estate in England. He's the wealthy owner of a castle and a title.
A title?
Meet the Duke of Milford.
Well,
Don't worry, Blaze. You're going to England with me. And I'll not live in that castle unless he's allowed to sleep in my room.
Tommy, it's your castle. If you want Blaze to sleep in that room, he'll be there. And as far as King and I are concerned, Your Grace, this case is closed.